All right, good morning, and it is Thursday, March 26, 2020, and we're going to be doing a Cretaceous theropod riding a big wheel today. So let's get right into that. All you need today is a pencil, eraser, pencil sharpener, and a piece of paper. Okay? So, growing up in the 70s, being a Gen Xer, in the 70s and 80s, we used to ride big wheels all the time. So just imagine, if you will, in a world where dinosaurs ride big wheels. Just imagine that. So today we're going to do a rough, quick sketch. And again, I'm not using a compass. I don't have one here at my house. I use them as teaching tools, but I don't really necessarily use them. I'm just sketching out the front wheel of our big wheel. And the theropod that we're going to be drawing today. Hey, Molly. Hi, Shannon. Danielle and Olivia. Hi. What we're going to do is we're going to draw a classic plastic big wheel. And we're going to put probably the most famous theropod during the Cretaceous period, which is Tyrannosaurus Rex. And how are we going to fit a Tyrannosaurus Rex onto a big wheel? Well, we're just going to kind of play around with scale and making the T-Rex's head really, really big and the body kind of smaller so it can fit into that big wheel. So the first thing we're going to do, again, is kind of give a little reference to our front wheel, the big wheel. And we're just gonna kind of sketch in like a carrot shape right here. This is gonna be the fork that holds the front wheel up and allows you to turn. Okay. If you've never ridden a big wheel, if you never had a chance as a child to ride a big wheel, I'm very sad for you. Okay. If you're a parent, get your kid a big wheel, okay? Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to draw kind of a rough shape of the fork, not really the fork, I'm sorry, the upward sloping structure of the big wheel that also comprises the back axle, the place where you sit down, everything, okay? And then we're going to kind of reference a back wheel with kind of an elliptical shape, not too much, more squashed down. And this is going to be our back wheel. Okay, basic shape. And then we're going to put in kind of like a reference to our front, our handlebars and stuff, okay? But not get too crazy, because we need to put in our T-Rex. Okay. Now, I'm going to make this a little bit lower. Yeah. Okay. So right now, and then we have our basic shape. We'll put our pedal right here. Just a reference for our pedal right there. Okay. The cool thing about a big wheel, I'm going to make this wheel just a little bit bigger. The cool thing about a big wheel is that it was, for me growing up, it was how I was able to get around my neighborhood when I was a kid. You know, it was the transportation mode for all kids in my neighborhood who hadn't yet mastered a two-wheel bike yet. Okay. And I tell you, once a kid masters the two-wheel, goodbye to your kid. All right, so we're going to actually change the angle on that. Yeah. Okay, so we have the basic shape of a old school American big wheel. Kind of cool, right? All right. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to draw the T-Rex's head. Okay, and the T-Rex head is very large, and we're going to kind of squeeze it between the handlebars a little bit here. We're going to make a really big circle here to represent the main part of the T-Rex. They don't have huge brains, no. but they do have big heads. And then we're going to kind of pull this. It's kind of like, it's more of a squared off kind of a egg shape, or we're getting into kind of like that, let's say, eggplant shape. Yeah. Okay. And we're going to have its mouth open. It's kind of jeering through the handlebars. Okay. All right. So just a big shape here. And we're going to pull this back a little bit more so it's even huger. Rah. I might have to adjust this size a little bit. It's a little bit bigger than I'd anticipated. We're going to pull this down a little bit further. Yeah, there we go. That's better. Good old trusty Office Depot rubber eraser. All right. And we're going to kind of reference a back here. And he's coming down. We're going to give him little arms down here that are coming up. And holding on to said handlebars. Okay? So, a little bit of shoulder. A little elbow, because they had tiny little arms, right? And then we're going to kind of put knees up here, the T-Rex knees. T-Rex knee, kind of over here, out of the way. We're going to give him his calf muscle. And then his thighs back here. And he's sitting down. You guys see that? Hey, Lucy. So give him his little knee up here. Tiny little arms. His hands over here too as well. Clawed fingers. And they only, Tyrannosauruses only had these little tiny 2-finger looking numbers. Alright. We're going to go into the detail later on the head. We're just getting our proportions kind of set here. I'm going to pull this down a little bit. That'll give him too big of gams there. And then they had this weird architecture because they are theropods, meaning they have 3 claws. Okay, so I'm just making these little circles here to kind of represent the toes and then these little claws are coming down. Okay. Dinosaurs were an obsession when I was a little kid. I carried around dinosaur books with me all the time. Let's see. So now what I'm doing is I'm erasing some of these marks. Clean this up a little bit. Showing the shapes here of this thigh. I don't know. Should I include feathers? Many scientists or paleontologists, argued that many dinosaurs during the Cretaceous, particularly theropods like Dionysus, Velociraptor. Now I'm starting to nerd out here. Thanks a lot, Wesley. Had feathers because they're saying that these dinosaurs are actually related to birds. All right, so we have our T-Rex foot on the pedal kind of thing here. Now we're going to go through and give some detail to our T-Rex here. So we're going to first do the mouth. Pull this across. So this is the top of the mouth. Okay, and then we're going to have this shape have a corresponding shape on the bottom, on where the mouth is kind of open. Okay. I'm going to do little appendages here. These are actually tendons and muscles that kind of hold the jaw together. I don't know, I think I'm gonna do feathers and scales. Yeah, well, they are. Have you ever seen a chicken kill a mouse? It's pretty intense, actually. If you want to later, Google it. It will mess you up, man. It'll make you look at chickens in an entirely different way. Let me tell you. So I'm adding these two ridges on the top of the head to represent where the eyes are going to go, where the eyes kind of live, these brows. You know what I'm saying? Okay, I'm starting to pull out some details from that general shape, that general eggplant shape. Okay. So I'm doing the other side of these mouth parts here. I'm also going to reference a tongue. Okay, because he's having a good time. Some details here. I'm going to put in the eye now. Okay. And then I'm going to start adding teeth. And I don't want them too narrow. Not quite fat like shark's teeth, but I do want to give them some volume. And make sure that you're adding teeth to the other side. As you're doing along. And Tyrannosauruses were primarily hunters, but many scientists have speculated that they also spent a large time scavenging for food too as well. Because all large predators are also scavengers, claiming kills from other animals too as well. Okay. Oh God, Wesley. Brother, you must be bored. All right, so we have kind of a basic, nice outline of a grumpy T-Rex. I think I'm gonna change this angle here. Yeah, I'm gonna change that angle. Yeah, that's better. All right. No one really knows what dinosaurs really look like. We can all kind of speculate with coloring and things like that, but I'd like to think that they weren't boring. So now I'm going through and I'm going to add some details. And I don't really have a place to put his tail, but I think I'll have it come up just for fun up this way. It's going to be off frame, but that's okay. Now, the old interpretations of when I grew up, T-Rexes had kind of limp tails that just, flopped on the ground and followed them where they went. But we now know that the tail is important to their balance. And to counterbalance all the weight, especially on a T-Rex, all that weight on the front, the huge head, the large neck. So, okay. So now I'm going to go through and add a lot of the details necessary to make this look like a realistic, or somewhat realistic, big wheel. All right. I'm doing the angles on the bottom and on the top, and pulling these angles down. Again, I just put in some placeholders space-wise to show where things would fit. I miss my big wheel. I really do. I don't know if there's any other Gen Xers out there that can feel me on that, but a little shadow here on the bottom. Okay. And then we have the handlebar coming up. And this one, he's kind of coming through there. You can't really see what's going on here, but we're going to put in the details of his claws holding on to the handle. Okay. We're also going to use some heavy lines here, kind of pull out. I will not snitch you out, bro. So you got the tricycle, Elizabeth, but not the big wheel. I'm so sorry. Tricycles are cool, though. Big wheels are kind of the best, though. Legit. So we're going to go through now and just add some details here for the big wheel front wheel. Coming around here, cleaning this up. I'm going to clean this up with some heavier lines in a little bit. There's the pedal. I just wanted today to be kind of fun with doing a T-Rex instead of something more observational. And then maybe tomorrow I'll do something a little bit more academic for you. Show the other kneecap here, coming down, and I'm gonna just use a shadow to reference that other knee on the other side. you embody. Oh, okay. Makes sense. A little shadow here. And then we're going to make the mags. Kind of make my own version of the mags, though. And these are like the patterns that are in those plastic wheels. And I'm just going to do this quickly. Okay. All right. We're cruising. Ella, hey B. Braden Prin. I hope life is treating you well, child. So I'm going to use my eraser, my, again, basic Office Depot cut in half eraser. And clean up these edges here a little bit. Get rid of some of these sketch searching lines. Before I start shading. Don't have to do much here. All right. There are adult-sized big wheels. Trust me, I've looked, I've found. They're not cheap. And so it's like, how can you kind of justify purchasing one? Especially when you're like me and I got a lot of hobbies. Hey, Chase. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start from the top and work our way down with our shading, okay? So what I'm going to do is, if you've been watching my other lessons, you'll know that I like to go in one direction. Our light source, again, is going to be on the right-hand side, or my right-hand side. I'm going to start again with just one direction. And give him a cast light right there. And a darken pupil right there. Okay. And I'm just going to work around. Give him some texture down here. I don't want to spend too much time with detail on the face, because you can overwork it. I'm not trying to make a realistic, necessarily, totally a realistic Tyrannosaurus Rex. I'm just trying to create an impression of one. Right in a big wheel. So again, I'm using a distance grip, or distant grip, as I'm doing this. And then for the areas that I want to create some darker shades, darker values, I'll go in with a closer grip. So maybe I'll put a little reference of some kind of feathering going on the outside edge. I'm gonna really get dark in here, inside the mouth. Okay. Cruising along. Now again, you know, if you just want to watch today, that's totally fine. If you want to draw along, you know, just understand that I do go fast, and I'm sorry. For a lot of my viewers, I get comments like, slow down. I do tend to go quickly. I don't know why. I think it has everything to do with having to kind of speed things up, because being a classroom teacher, you have to go kind of quickly or you're going to lose your audience. It's true. You teenagers that are out there, y'all have very short attention spans. So I have to hook and catch you guys in the first 15 minutes. And if I don't, well, I'm doomed. I'm competing with social media. I'm competing with boyfriends or girlfriends' attention. You know what I mean? Like, it is not easy. So I have to keep lessons or demos like this relatively short to maintain your attention. And, you know, also that the kids in my class, my studio class, they just want to engage in the process. They want to get in and start working right away, which makes sense. Right? Hello, Ashley. Hello, Nathan. All right. Hello, and Juice. Long time no see. Welcome back. All right, so done some preliminary shading here. I'm going to add some darker values down here just to show, like, you know, this is receding further away because it's not in the light. It's in shadow. Okay, then I'm going to spend some time on these claws. As you can see right there, what I'm trying to do is just show that this is a claw coming off the finger. I'm going to give a little detail there as if, see that? Once again, kind of wrap it around, finish it off. Pull this line so that it looks like it's, you know, a nail. And then give it a little bit of a shape right there. And then shade it. Just like that. And then I'm going to put everything behind it, underneath it, kind of in shadow. Okay. Same thing over here. All right. Bianca, you go. So I'm using, again, my trusty Kimberly 4B. This is just a 4B. It's kind of like the go-to tool that I use for drawing and teaching drawing. Okay. I'm gonna finish this up. I'm gonna put a little bit of shadow on this arm. A little cross hatching here. Drop some harder lines on the edge here. A shadow underneath. Shape out some musculature here using value. Same thing here. Okay. All right, now go over the other side. Finish these nails. But we're gonna put these guys more in shadow because they're out of the way. Okay. All right. Put this in shadow too. This is rolling down away from the light. I'm gonna put some shadows over here, and then closer we get to the right-hand side, more light, okay? Same thing over here. Less pressure, more pressure. Less pressure, more pressure, okay? Come back up here. Back over here, shadow on this reference to back shape, hard line, hard line, hard line, okay? Now we're gonna go here, kneecap. We're going to start on the left-hand side and kind of rotate this way. Create that impression of a kneecap without drawing a line. More shade here, more shading. Come in here. And we're going to put this in shadow as well. It's further away from the light. Okay. And some darker lines on this side. Dark line around, dark line here. Dark line here. Boom. Back up to the nose, same thing. Boom. Okay. Go back to the leg. Hard shadows. So I just got a question from Wesley, and I missed these conversations. What did I think of The Rise of Skywalker? Well, I do believe I'm in a minority, in the sense that I did not mind it. I think it was actually pretty good. Hi, Haley. Hey, Jason. How you doing, bro? I liked it. It was enjoyable. I think I got my money's worth. I had no problem with it. I had no problem with a lot of the stuff that has been pushed out related to the Star Wars universe. I think it's, I thought Solo was good. Again, I think I'm in the minority there. But I enjoyed it. All right, so we're going to do some darker shadows underneath on the bottom here of the big wheel. We're going to put some shadows here underneath the bottom of the thigh of our T-Rex, coming across first. So as you can see, I'm using kind of horizontal shading lines. I'm showing space between my marks. Okay, I'm pulling them across. I don't want to go all the way across. I just want to build these values up. Okay. Why? I think it's not necessarily her trying to take the family legacy of the Skywalkers. I think she called herself a Skywalker in homage to everything that those two siblings gave to her, whether in training or whether in words of wisdom, their reluctance almost to train her in the beginning, but also that there were no heirs after them, and have the name live on through her actions. Possibly. This is all theory, dude. I had no problem with that. I know some quote-unquote Star Wars purists had issues with it. And I'm like, who are you to judge, to carry the mantle of carrying on that story? I don't know. All I know is I enjoyed it. And I'm someone coming from, a Gen Xer who saw all the movies in the theater or through drive-through, or drive-in, excuse me. Most of y'all probably don't even know what that is. But I enjoyed it. Hi, Vienna. How you doing, girl? All right. So now we're going to spend a little time on the wheel, the front wheel that we have here, and the back wheel. And they are black, with the exception of these areas that are within the mag, these little areas in the mags. And we're going to kind of break up the edge a little bit, so it's not and I'm just kind of putting pressure and dragging and creating a kind of a natural edge on my circle here. Because the front wheels as well as the back wheels would get trashed. The longer you would cruise around in your neighborhood on sidewalk and blacktop, the gnarlier edge would get. So I'm going to start just with heavier shading, and I'm going to go around the circumference of the wheel, keeping my marks, my lines really tight. See that? And again, this technique transfers to working with colored pencils, because you want, when you're blending in particular, or mixing colors on the surface of your paper, depending on how tight you make your shading lines when you're blending, is how well they're going to come out. Okay, so I have an initial line there. I'm going to go through and kind of shade this area too later, because I'm going to say that there's more light coming into these areas. And again, I'm not making a photograph, I'm making a fun drawing. And as young artists, you have that opportunity to create your own perspective, your own little world. And as an art teacher, I encourage that. I don't, I've been doing this a long time, and a lot of times I do not necessarily want to see a regurgitation of things that have already been done by the other art students or other artists. I just want your voice coming through your work. So I'm going through and softly shading this stuff in. Married into the family with the kiss. No, I don't know about that. Sometimes, Wesley, you kind of get lost in the, I don't know what you call it, the minutia, or you're reading too much into certain things. But that's good though. All right, so I need to do some of the details of this foot, so I'm going to go through, kind of tighten these up. There's the claw, pull this in, just like so. Just like we did with the last one. Hard line, pull it up. Little shadow in the bottom, little shadow in the claw, boom. Same thing here. Pull it up, pull that up, around, down, shadow, shadow in the claw, boom. Middle toe, outside toe, inside toe. And I'm making them progressively smaller the further away we go. That's going to give it the illusion that it's further away. Boom. Okay. Okay. All right. Now, I'm going to finish this up. Pull this up. Hard line. Harder line. Okay. So we get a nice definitive edge. Boom. Okay. All right. You made your point. Okay. Texture there. So we have our front wheel's pretty much done. Put a little hard line there. Okay. I'm gonna come over here, finish this wheel. We're going to reserve a little guy here for like the reflection. Reflection. Okay. Come down to the bottom of this wheel. See that? Kind of work our way up. There we go. Gonna come across. Again, harder lines. Filling in these spaces. Right? Okay. I'm gonna go diagonal now. Kind of fill in all these areas here. I always encourage my students not to try and fill in with just one go. It's better to kind of layer your values. Spend time doing that. It does help. I'm going to have these lines here that I'm currently making right now. These are curved lines. Why? Because on these plastic wheels, they have this round kind of injection molded pattern, and we're gonna pull some of these lines this way so that they go over the edge, so it's not so flat. Does that make any sense? It's kind of hard to explain, but I also want to leave some information there, if that makes any sense. So I'm going to put a harder line and a thicker line here and a lighter line on this side. Just to create that illusion. Okay. Hard line. Hard line. Hard line. Harder line. Okay. You guys see that? So far, so good. Next thing I need to probably do is finish the tail. And you can't really see what I'm doing here, but I'm just saying maybe there's a hole in the seat. Maybe it's an open back seat. It's a frame, right? Yeah, maybe this, I'm gonna turn this into, rather than a complete back, it's a open back, and it's just like a frame. It holds that boy in. So we're just gonna use directional lines. I describe his tail. And we kind of did this yesterday when we were doing the oak trees and the 100-acre wood. Okay, see that? Hi, Abby. I miss you too. Much love, girl. Hope you're doing well. So this will be kind of like that middle defining line on the top of the tail. Okay. And then we're going to just shade, again, using directional lines. Yeah, just like that. Yeah, we're getting there. So I hope you guys are all having a good Thursday. Today it's shout out to my wife. It's her birthday today. And we had planned on doing a lot more than just kind of sheltering in place, but that's what we're doing now. It's not ideal, but it is what we're dealing with now. And the only consolation is that there's a lot of us doing the same thing right now. So for all of you who have birthdays today, happy birthday and shelter in place. Yeah, and every time I wash my hands, I sing happy birthday twice. Why? Because that's what I've been told to do as a best practice during this time. All right. So the last thing that we're going to do for this drawing before we sign off is we're going to put some shadows on the bottom to give the bike some weight, or a little, that we don't want it to look like it's floating in space. Unless that's what you want to do, then go ahead. So I'm using multiple directions here when it comes to my shading here. I'm doing multiple directions, adding more weight as I get closer to the big wheel, and less weight as I move further away, so I can create a good gradient. Put some shadows too behind. You can't see those, unfortunately. So right now we have the T-Rex riding a big wheel. Yeah. I think we're almost there. I'm gonna smooth some of these things out a little bit. A shadow where the elbow is. And kind of connect these areas here. More shadow in here. And here. So we're kind of grounded in realism, but it's a kind of a fantastical drawing. It's not meant to necessarily be realistic, but just whimsical. And you have creative license to do this with. You could have an ostrich doing this. You could have a giraffe. Iguanodon, whatever you'd like. So I'm just going through and hardening some of his lines. Why does it have lady legs? No, these are pretty buff legs, actually. I'd take these legs. Okay. Cool. Now, we have one more live draw for this week. That's tomorrow. And we'll probably go back to something more academic. I'm thinking about doing something with perspective tomorrow. But I'm glad that you were able to join me today. If you weren't able to come with me today and draw, you can always go back to my YouTube channel, which is linked in my bio on my Instagram page. And I'll be posting that video later on today. Once again, tomorrow, join us for our last live draw for this week. I will be starting again next week too on Monday at 11 o'clock. I hope you guys can come too and participate and draw with, or you can just observe and watch and enjoy watching me draw. Thank you very much for joining me today. Have a wonderful day during this, again, shelter in place because of COVID-19. Have a wonderful day, and peace be with you.